So tell me, how big is its wingspan?
Oh, you know, it's only just about 7.5 board game boxes long.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a bird enthusiast collecting, discovering and observing different species of birds? No, I hear you say? Well, now you can in this feathersome themed engine bird building board game where the aim is to feed the birds Mary Poppins style by trying to get them to lay eggs, acquiring different species of birds in your habitats to try and build a better bird engine. The player who garners the most victory points will win the game. Now, how do I get out of this thing? When you start a game of Wingspan, your player board is a menu of choices simulating the habitat that your birds will come and thrive in. Think of it like the bird bath of all bird baths. Attract them to yours and you'll thrive. You'll be able to take several actions throughout each round of the game using these pandemic-like colored cubes. Wait, I hope there isn't an avian outbreak. I don't mean to digress. Where were we? Each time you spend a cube, you'll trigger an action on your board. There are 4 main actions to choose from. Playing a bird card onto your board requires you to pay the appropriate food cost listed on the bird card and placing it in the matching habitat. Playing bird cards provides your environment with special abilities, bonuses, and actions that can get triggered when you use that particular action row. The more bird cards you play in a particular row, the more eggs it will cost you, as shown at the top of the board. So get ready to go to your local bank and start building up that nest egg. If players are finding it difficult to gain the right combination of resources, they can convert any 2 resources into one other resource of their choice. These bird cards are multifunctional. Sometimes when a player plays a bird card into their tableau, they get a one-time bonus effect. At other times when they play these brown banded bird cards, they provide effects that can be triggered multiple times across the game every time a player uses that particular action row. Another action that players can take is to gain food and activate the forest powers in the forest habitat row. When players gain food, they gain it from this glorious cardboard looking dice tower by removing dice equal to the number shown on the gain food row and placing them in their supply. I guess the abundance of food comes down to the luck of the dice roll. Some special powers in the forest row allow players to trade in a bird card for any resource from the dice tower. Once resources have been gained, players then trigger any bird cards in the forest row that have a brown band on them and resolve their abilities. Wow, look at that amazingly rare species of bird over there. Another action that players can take is to lay eggs and activate Grassland powers. That's the bird, that is. When players do this, they gain the number of eggs shown in the leftmost space of the Grasslands row, and they place the eggs onto their bird cards on their board. Each bird can hold eggs up to their capacity listed on their card. Eggs can be used later on to place other birds out onto a player board, and it's kind of like the breeding chain, where the earlier birds that lay eggs and produce other species of birds that also lay eggs. And sometimes when you place eggs, you can choose to put your eggs anywhere on the board on any bird card, but that means this species of bird over here would be nesting on another species bird eggs. Okay, it's getting a little bit complicated. Moving on, sometimes there's also an egg conversion bonus where players can convert any one of their food resources into one additional egg. I found the most amazing thing right here in this tree below. Let's take a look. These eggs are really important, valuable resources when playing the game Wingspan. Not only do you need to pay using eggs to upgrade and use more powerful actions on your player board, but also they're worth very vital victory points by the end of the game. The final row on a player's action board allows players to draw bird cards and activate wetland powers. When players draw cards, they draw them from either the top of the deck or from the selection of 3 cards shown. Developing an efficient card drawing system is really crucial for providing players with extra options and different actions to take, and especially expanding the choices that players want to make when they're building their bird engine. Sometimes the wetland spaces provide players with a bonus effect where players can pay 1 egg to draw an additional card. There are 3 general card types with bonus actions that players will encounter. Ones that are activated when they're played, ones that are activated every time the action row is used, and one that is activated between players' turns. The brown banded power cards forms the pillars of a player's bird engine. It is important to remember that the brown powers on these cards can be triggered multiple times throughout the game. The pink banded cards are extremely resourceful because they allow players to gain a bonus when other players gain a bonus. The when played cards have a single use and single time effect, which means players will need to determine the best time to actually use them to gain the maximum benefit from them. The 4 nest types featured on the bird cards are really important for fulfilling some of those end of round objectives and some of those secret bonus cards. Throughout the game, players will be trying to fulfill some secret objectives that they receive at the beginning of the game. There is also a competitive mode to the game where across each round, players are racing to try and satisfy the goals for that round, whether it might be having the most number of birds in a particular habitat row, or laying eggs in a particular way, or having certain eggs in certain nest types. Being the first in each category yields that player the highest number of victory points for that round. The ibis is one of the most adaptable yet surprisingly invasive birds in the urban environment. Watch as its predator, this common pigeon, gets ready to attack. Originating from the lush coastal wetlands, this new city dweller has an average wingspan of 112 to 124 centimeters. Despite this species' urbanization, there is now a new threat lurking on the horizon. The board gamer is one of the most adaptable yet surprisingly most invasive species on the social scene.
Board game? Board game. Board game. Board game. Board game, board game. Board game, board game, board game.
Despite craving human interaction, a trip into a board game shop for this species can last minutes, hours, or even days. The board gamer is a nocturnal species often playing for hours on end, reading rules, watching how to play videos, scouring the endless data, errata, reviews, run-throughs of new and old games on Board Game Geek Online. Nesting is a behavior commonly observed in this intriguing species. Watch as this gamer organizes, sleeves, and files the game away in a meticulous manner, ensuring order is always maintained. The unique bird cards are the primary driving force that really make this game truly amazing. They provide players with the opportunity and freedom to create excellent combos, as the synergy between the cards that players explore is extremely exciting, as there are numerous ways that players can experiment with the way that different cards interact with each other. Did you just try and squeeze the word egg into your sentence as many times as possible just so this video would be able to fit on theme? Let me explain. Building an engine in this game is like asking someone how they like their eggs to be cooked. Acquiring the right cards at the right time can really allow you to soar and get ahead of the game, whilst a poor or random draw of cards can effectively leave your bird engine scrambled. To show you how cool this game truly is, I've set up a little bird engine just to show you how it works. So let's say I'd like to activate the Grassland powers and take the lay eggs on birds action. So I'd take my action cube and place it over here. And immediately I'd gain 4 eggs straight away from the supply and put them on the other birds that I have in my tableau. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, but keeping in mind that different birds have different egg capacities, and if you're looking at different round objectives, some round objectives want you to have the most number of eggs on a particular nest type. After having resolved that action, I move my yellow cube over to this particular card, which says, when activated, if this bird is to the right of all other birds in its habitat, move it to another habitat. And notice how this bird is quite adaptable. I'm going to move it down here to the wetland row because I know I'm going to need to draw a lot more cards into my hand because I've used a lot of them up already. I'm going to move this yellow cube over here, and it says when activated, lay 1 egg on any bird. And I'm going to place this egg on this particular bird here. So I'm moving my cube along now. It says all players can lay 1 egg on any bird which has that particular nest symbol. My special bird ability also allows me to place an additional egg on any bird with that particular nest type. And finally, when I move my action cube to this fish crow, I can discard 1 egg from any of my other birds in order to gain 1 resource from the supply. And because I've built such an efficient egg plopping engine, I've got heaps of eggs to spare that I can use to turn it into any resource that I want. What I really enjoy about Wingspan is discovering how the different cards work together and learning how to create a really efficient engine and system using the cards is something that really draws me to the game time and time again. It might be caching different food items or generating a system that creates more eggs or being able to tuck lots of cards underneath your other bird cards. It's discovering those unexpected combos that really makes this game truly shine, and it does come through with multiple plays. I also like the resource gathering effect and using the dice and the dice tower, and the dice kind of represent the scarcity or abundance of food in the habitat, which kind of mimics the real environment if the bird was in its natural habitat, and I like how this game has tried to simulate that. I also really like the card activation system, and as you progress throughout the game, the actions that you take are going to have greater impact, and towards the end of the game, you're going to be able to trigger lots of different cards that you've played out in your tableau. I also like how this game has a really nice racing effect where players are trying to race to build efficiently as possible compared to over the other players. And I like how there's multiple paths to victory. I mean, players could really try and compete openly with the other players for those round objectives, or they could really try and work towards satisfying their private objectives or secret objectives and really truly gaining an upper hand that way. Alright, I've got the game and I'm ready for the next shot. Alright, how do I get through this doorway? Try this way. This wing first. And, oh, this wingspan is way too big. And I seem to be stuck in the hallway and, oh, no, I'm going to go back through and okay. Alright. You know what? Back to the bird drawing board. Some points to consider if you think about getting Wingspan is that sometimes the game feels like you're playing a little bit solitaire. You're kind of building your own tableau and your own engine and gathering your own resources and kind of doing your own thing. I mean, there is that element where players are racing head to head to be able to complete the round's objectives, and there are some cards that kind of disrupt what other players are doing if you kind of play them or trigger them at the right time. But there's nothing that really allows players to interact with each other's engines that they're building or their tableaus that they've kind of splayed out. And I think if there was an expansion that were to come out, maybe there's some more cards that allow players to interact with each other that would really elevate the game to another level. Another aspect is the fact that some of the card drawing in this game is very random. I mean, the game does allow you to choose from 3 face-up cards or draw from the top of the deck. I mean, but it's really important that players, when they play this game, to try and invest in that card drawing system at the bottom of their board to be able to increase the number of options that they have in their hand, to thus build the most optimal engine that they can possible. And that's part of developing a game strategy, but possibly a different way to kind of draft cards, maybe similar to like Everdell, where there's a splay of about 8 cards in the center of the game board to choose that players can choose from. That might be a different way of approaching the game. Thank you once again for joining me once again for another review at Board Game Sanctuary. If you really like this video, please remember to like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends and family. I would truly appreciate it. I want to say a huge and humble shout out to all the people who currently subscribe to this channel and who continually support and watch my videos. I really appreciate it from the very bottom of my heart. Once again, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. This is Danny signing out. See you next time.